right. Well, welcome to another episode of the Sports Guys. We are here to talk about NFL, another NFL recap, another big weekend, a lot of great games. We had a great Thursday night game, 2 Monday night games. We have a lot of things to talk about. How you doing, Robbie?
I'm doing great. Just came from boys baseball practice. Had a pretty good weekend with everybody. Amazing football. Good stuff.
That's great. Yeah, it's there's so many things going on the weekend, and it's fun to try to pack in your family stuff and then try to watch football around it. It's kind of
Yeah.
like how do you catch all the games? You really can't. But
Yeah.
big themes coming out of the weekend for you. I mean, for me, it was largely the biggest blown lead I've ever seen, with the Giants blowing the big fourth quarter lead to the Denver Broncos. I still don't understand how that happened. So that was a big one. I'm seeing teams that have quarterbacks and coaches emerge and teams that don't fall off. I'm also seeing a lot of teams that have just total mass unit situations. They're just falling out of contention. I mean, even the Washington Commanders,
Yeah.
sitting at 3-4, they got about half their defense out, and they've got a stretch right now of 4 playoff teams coming up. It's just really, really tough. So, teams for you from the weekend?
Themes for me from the weekend. Chiefs are good again. And the Colts are for real. And a couple of the really good teams have a few problems, but I still think that the Lions are the best team in football.
You do, yeah, yeah.
Occasionally they're vulnerable, but for the most part,
They're really, really good. I think they have a much tougher NFC than the Kansas City Chiefs do in terms of their run to the Super Bowl. I still think it's a real possibility you'll see the Chiefs and Lions in the Super Bowl. I think they are the two best teams, but
that would be a really good Super Bowl.
the Lions' road to the Super Bowl is much tougher. It really is. There's a lot of good NFC teams this year.
I think roster-wise, the Lions are the best team in football. I think the Chiefs have Mahomes and that brain trust that can elevate them when needed. So that's the matchup I want to see.
Hmm.
As long as the Lions don't get too injured, it gets ridiculous. Like last year, they were winning playoff games with one starting defensive player. That's ridiculous. Nobody can do
Every
that.
year, every year, everyone's predicting that the Kansas City Chiefs are done, they're out, their dynasty's over, and then
Yeah,
things like this year happen where they start kind of slow, and then you'll see them the last 3 weeks where they really picked it up, and then everybody else has fallen off either for injuries or other reasons, and it's almost like the seas are parting for the Chiefs again. It's really kind of crazy to watch.
well, I got to tell you, I think that Rasheed Rice is a weapon that is a crucial piece for them, and I'm not sure that it was so obvious at the time. He
Hmm.
kind of has taken the place of Tyreek Hill, where without him, they're just dramatically different team.
What's crazy is he's kind of like Tyreek Hill, but Xavier Worthy's kind of like Tyreek Hill too. It's almost like they have two of them now, two
I'm
two
not going
guys.
to compare. I'm not going to compare Rasheed Rice to Tyreek Hill in terms of the way he plays, but the way he is important to that team, all the other players around him get single coverage and things
Mhm.
like that. I think that he's got the impact that Tyreek Hill has. If you look at the speed factor, Xavier Worthy has a more similar prototype to Tyreek, but he's not the playmaker Tyreek Hill was um, a couple years ago. And but Rasheed Rice is. He is
Mhm.
that kind of playmaker. So anyway,
So they've got the two of them back, whereas they didn't have them earlier in the year, and then they have a kid who developed while the two of them were out, and he's a stretch guy too, and it's Thornton. He's a really good receiver. What's funny is he's a burner, but he's also 6'4", so he's tall as well, and he's really good in the end zone. So I don't know. They just every time I think they won't have any weapons, I now look at that receiving core when you add Worthy and Rice and Thornton and Gray and Kelsey and Pacheco, and I could just keep going on and on and on. All of a sudden, on Sunday, he threw to 10 different people. You know what I mean? And it's just, they're just so hard to defend. And when you have Andy Reid calling the plays. All right, let's do a shout out to our sponsor for this evening. That is DraftKings. DraftKings has been a longtime sponsor of ours. We really enjoyed using the app, placing small bets. It's a lot of fun. It adds a lot of juice to each game that you bet on. Right now, they've got a 100% match up to $100 if you do a new deposit. And they also give you 50 bonus bet dollars if you win your first bet, which is really a pretty good deal. So, Robbie, what do you think of DraftKings? How much have you enjoyed using it?
Oh, it's the best. I've been having so much fun with it. The other day I was thinking there is no better time than this right now to
Mm-hmm.
be enjoying all the different games and looking at the spreads and checking out, who's hurt and who's questionable. And then I thought about it. There are so many times of the year when that's true. March Madness is
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so
It's true.
DraftKings is fun all year round. It's incredible. You can do parlays. You can just put some money down on a certain game, overs, scores. If just it kind of just you cater it to what you like. And I think they always have really good deals. I was attracted to that in the beginning, and then it's a really cool app. So DraftKings is awesome.
One feature I really like that they have that a lot of the other sites don't have, and that is the cash out option. So, like
Yeah.
this weekend, I did a bunch of parlays. I had a couple hit, I had a couple not hit, and then I had one that was a four team parlay, and I hit the first three. The other one was tonight, and it was an over that I don't think is going to hit. And so this morning, I actually cashed out for triple my investment, which is a really cool function. I won't have to let that game run tonight and see if I hit it. If I didn't hit it, I'd lose the whole thing. So really cool feature there. I like the cash out option.
It is. I'm really glad they're a sponsor. It's a cool app.
Yep. So guys, check it out tonight. Like I said, they have the bonuses that you're available for if you want to go ahead and make your first deposit. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you soon.
All right. So this episode we're calling QBs and coaches. What we're noticing here is a trend that if you have a QB and a coach and you have that combination, then you are going to be successful. And you can see you got Reed and Mahomes, you got Campbell and Goff, you got Bo Nix and Sean Payton, you've got Jordan Love, you've got his amazing coach, who I think is one of the best in the business, LaFleur.
Sure.
When Burrow is healthy, you got Burrow and Taylor, who's a really good play caller. You got Shane Steichen now making Daniel Jones look like a Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
Not shown here, you've got McVay and Stafford. They're just tearing it up this year.
Yeah.
What is your thought about that? I mean, it really feels like the teams are elevating are the ones that have this combination, and the ones that don't, that have one or the other or neither, they're just falling off. They can't compete.
Well, every single one of these examples are cases where the quarterback is getting a lot of credit, but every single one of these teams has a dominant defense, except for the Bengals, and they're losing. So the only reason they're winning is because they have a very weak division.
Mm-hmm.
But they've lost a lot of games this year. So,
True. But I mean,
I'm a big Burrow fan, but he's been hurt, so.
But what I'm saying is, if you have the healthy guy plus his really good play calling coach, you have a situation where you're going to be successful. And if you have
but Cincinnati's the only one that doesn't belong in this group because their defense is so bad.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. But, the point is again, that if you have this combination, you have a chance to be successful. If you have a really good quarterback who's playing for a defensive coach, you see what happens. A lot of times
it plays to your point in that you can still win a bunch of games when all you have is a quarterback and a coach. If you have defense, you can still win some games. You're probably not going to the playoffs, but you're still a dangerous team to play that you don't want to.
If you do have a good quarterback and you have a bad coach, that situation, typically the quarterback is going to be wasted. You have a situation like the Bills where I don't think their coach is he's definitely not an offensive mind for sure.
And look at the Ravens,
Look at the Ravens. And if you have a situation where you have a great coach but no quarterback, that's a bad situation too, because I don't care how good the coach is if he doesn't have the guy who can deal on every play.
That's right.
So this is the theme we're seeing this week, guys. Drop us a comment if you agree that it's about you got to have this combination, a QB and a coach. And we'll talk about that through the program tonight. Also tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the World Series, which is finally set. The Toronto Blue Jays won the game last night 4-3 to win Game 7 against the Mariners, totally breaking the heart of everybody in Seattle. The Mariners haven't been to a World Series in 40 years. And so the Blue Jays get to take on who both of us think is the best team in baseball, and that's the LA Dodgers. There's going to be a lot of offense in this series, I think. What are your thoughts on this series?
Well, I picked the Dodgers a long time ago. I think a lot of us did because they're so loaded. And the Blue Jays are really a feel good story. I mean, I think they're coming in hot. I don't think they're quite as talented, but they're definitely talented enough to make this a series. And in baseball, it's just it's a weird game. It's a beautiful game.
It is.
Anything can happen. All you need to do is put 4 games together. And,
Blue Jays
and
are a really good team, and they were the hottest team the last 3 weeks of the season.
yeah,
That's why
they
they
were hot.
won that division. So they've got a chance, but I would
In
say
baseball, it's better to be hot than it is to be talented.
I'm thinking 5 or 6 games, and the Dodgers take it. That's just what I think.
Me
I
too.
just think they're way too deep, way too talented.
What's probably going to happen is Dodgers are going to go up like 3-0, and then the Blue Jays are going to uncork it and score a bunch of runs on the Dodgers and have a big whipping game, just whipping their butt.
Or
And then,
maybe 1-1 after 2 games. Everyone gets all excited, and then the Dodgers reel off 3 in a row or something. That's possible.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I believe that the Dodgers will get that handled.
I think so. So starting with the scores, we have the Bengals picking off the Steelers with Joe Flacco. He only had 3 practices going into this game. Really was remarkable to see the difference with Flacco when he goes from a team that's complete abysmal on offense and goes to a team that has real weapons and has
he didn't even know half the team's names,
And he goes to a guy in Taylor, who I was showing earlier. The reason Taylor and Burrow do so well together is because Taylor's a really good play caller. And so Taylor comes in 3 practices and makes Flacco look like a Pro Bowler. And it's really remarkable to see how well he performed in this game. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on this game? And really, Rodgers played well too.
I mean, what an amazing story. Flacco 31 of 47. So this is a challenge to my theory, my philosophy. He had 3 touchdowns, no picks, QBR of 75.2, a very strong performance. They had a nice running game that in that game, and Jamar Chase absolutely went off, 161 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins also went off, 6 for 96 and a touchdown. So the wide receivers were the exception to the rule. They went crazy, and they overcame that the quarterback was throwing all the time.
And that's the other thing I was going to say.
They could win the battle,
The other thing I was going to say is you think about what T. Higgins and Chase did in this game. After several weeks of really poor quarterback play, all of a sudden they just exploded. And it was so nice for them to have somebody who could actually deliver the ball.
Yeah.
And do you think this is the best wide receiver game that's been played this year? I personally do. 16 for 161 with a touchdown. I mean, he was absolutely dominant.
Yeah. I mean, he was awesome. He was awesome.
Yeah.
But I think the unsung hero in this game, first of all, the Bengals getting those 2 picks was huge against Rodgers. And the second thing is the kicking game played a huge role. Evan McPherson was 4 for 4 of field goals and 3 for 3 of extra points.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty significant in a fairly close game. So
what was crazy about this game is you see the Bengals have a guy come in and after 3 practices perform this way. And then you see Rodgers take an offense that had for about 3 years been stuck in the mud. It couldn't do anything and he score like 17 points a game at the most. And all of a sudden they have competent quarterback play come in and they're 4-2 and they're scoring 31 points. Pretty amazing if you think about it. And this goes to the theme for tonight again, coaching and quarterbacks. So
there were a couple of stats that jump out. First downs, the Steelers had 19 and Cincinnati had 27 first downs. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. I mean, with a quarterback who's only been there for a short time, I can't remember seeing that maybe ever.
How do you think Jake Browning was feeling after he was trying to lead the team, and then this guy comes in and after 3 practices
It's
plays
got to
like
be
this?
deflating. All that hard work, and you just get thrown aside.
Right. It was a really fun game to watch. I enjoyed every minute.
That was the right call. I mean, look what he did.
Was.
But sometimes when you're a guy that everyone likes and all that, you'll have everyone rally together.
Apparently, the sports radio in Cleveland after this game was going off on the Cleveland Browns. You can imagine how they felt.
Yeah.
You had this guy in the building, and you're turning it over to 2 rookies who look really inexperienced. And I don't know. It's such a classic Cleveland thing to do, to turn him over to a division rival and have him go off like this.
Yeah.
Very,
but it's
very
a declaration of we're rebuilding and we're not going to win now kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Stay with us because we'll be good in the future. Hopefully. It's not a good message.
You know what? That message for fans, just when it's every year, it's just,
it doesn't sell. And they've had so many of their quarterbacks go on, like Baker and, all these guys go on to success. It's really frustrating. I mean, as a Panther fan, I can relate to that. We've had our share of successful quarterbacks in the building, and they're all gone now. So anyway.
Yeah, so this was an incredibly entertaining game. Next game was Rams and Jaguars in London. The Jaguars now have played more games in England than any other team. They seem to play 1 or 2 games there a year. They've kind of become almost like London's favorite team. But they got just dismantled in this game. It was crazy. You had, no Puka Nacua, so the Rams were real worried about that. I know Rams fans were. But, instead, they had all kinds of other receiving options. And Stafford looked really sharp. They built up a really big lead, 21-0 at halftime. They really put a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence. I will say Travis Hunter had his best game as a pro, which was nice.
He was awesome.
But,
101 yards. He looked good.
Jaguars couldn't really run the ball, and they couldn't finish off drives. And you could tell that the Rams were just clearly the best team here. What were your thoughts about this one?
So this one upheld my theory in a big way. Trevor Lawrence was 23 of 48, so anything over 40. If you haven't seen my other podcasts, my 2 stats that I have a hypothesis on is if your quarterback throws for more than times a game, you're probably going to lose, and then compound that with if your defense gets 6 or more sacks, you're probably going to win. So those are 2 stats that really there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But Trevor Lawrence threw 48 times, so that's not good. And he had a QBR of 13, just not good enough at the quarterback position.
That's right.
And
they couldn't run the ball. I mean, when you can't run the ball, it just really.
And the Rams had 7 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. So that's above the 6 sack threshold. And that tells me that you're almost always going to win.
What's interesting is Lawrence had a lot of yards in between the 20s, but the Jaguars' problem this year has been finishing off in the red zone. They just can't get it done. And,
let's talk about red zone. 4 for 4 were the Rams, and 0 for 2 were the Jaguars. It's just not good enough. Another thing that's interesting, penalties. Penalties will really kill your drives. That's part of it. The Rams had 5 penalties for 45 yards. The Jacksonville Jaguars had 13 penalties for 119 yards. So that's coaching. That goes straight to the coaching.
No doubt about it. This was a coaching mismatch. There's no question.
Yeah.
And, this, again, goes to our theme for tonight, coaches and quarterbacks. So it holds almost every time. Holds almost every time, that theme plus the stats that you always review for us. Both of those things.
It's not hard to imagine, it being rainy in Wembley Stadium in England, but it really affected the Jaguars in their game plan, I think.
It's really true.
But the Jags are 4-3. They're definitely a better team.
They're 4-3. They're better.
They didn't look good in that game, but they're a better team than they've been a little bit.
They can beat the bottom half of the NFL. They can't beat the top half of the NFL. That's where they are. They're right in the middle.
They can beat the bottom half more than half the time. So, they're a little better than the halfway point.
They could
But
be a
yeah,
playoff team, or they could not be a playoff team. I just don't
they're
know yet.
probably gonna be
You're right.
just right around that playoffs. I called that
Yeah.
they were gonna make the wild card.
Mhm.
I'm a little skeptical, but they're right there. They're right gonna be. Something's got to happen to the good or to the bad to determine whether they go. I think they're gonna be close.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Agreed.
they're better than they've been. So that's something. I have Travis Hunter, by the way.
That's true. That was really nice to see. Travis Hunter with a great game. So Bears win 26-14. They've won a couple games in a row now. I know Chicago fans are really excited about their 4-2 start. This is much better than last year. You're looking at Caleb feeling a little bit more comfortable, although I was watching the film study breakdown on ESPN about Caleb, and even the last 2 weeks when they won, he's still missing layups sometimes. And so I think he's just young. He's still developing. And
Yeah.
sometimes he's hitting, sometimes he's missing, and that's just something you got to live with. I think he'll get that tightened up. Spencer Rattler had been playing pretty well, and he had a couple nice throws in this game, but kind of fell off a little bit. And the Saints just don't have enough to compete right now. They just don't.
Not even a little bit.
They can't get their running game going. Their defense isn't very good. Swift had a really nice game. What are your thoughts about this game?
Swift was the star of the show. 124 yards on 19 carries and a touchdown. And so was Jake Moody, the kicker, 4 for 4 and 2 for 2 on extra points. Caleb is developing slowly. QBR 19.5. He's still got these shoot yourself in the foot games, but the
He does.
star of the show was DeAndre Swift and the
Andre
defense.
Swift.
The defense.
That's right.
The Bears defense got 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 3 picks, and a fumble recovery. I mean, that's a lot of production from your defense.
No
That's
question.
a nightmare for the Saints.
When you play defense like that and you run the ball the way Swift did, you're going to win a lot of games, no matter how
Yep.
much the quarterback is screwing up.
Doesn't matter what your quarterback does almost at all. Like it
Do
does a
you think?
little, but
Do
less
you
so.
think?
When you're running like that and you're stopping your team, your opponent.
Do you think by the end of the year, Caleb's going to tighten his game up enough to be considered a competent top 15 quarterback?
No.
You don't.
No, I don't think he had. I think he's got the problem that some quarterbacks have with focus. And I think he's relied so much on pure athleticism, like Vince Young and guys like that. They don't have the drive, and I could be wrong, but to do the hard work, to get better and improve, and to humble themselves and to stay late and learn from film and all that stuff. I think Caleb Williams thinks he should be a part owner of the team. He thinks he should be able to scramble around and keep plays alive and just do it on pure athleticism. And you can't do that in the pros because the athletes are so much better. They're world-class athletes.
He's loose. That's the way I would describe him. He's loose.
He's not disciplined.
He's talented. He's very talented, but he's loose. So, hopeful that he'll be able to shape up. But you can tell already the stamp that McDonald's putting on that team. He's already tremendously better in terms of him and his coaching staff.
Yeah, for sure. He's doing a lot with very little. I mean,
give him another draft or two. Just imagine.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get that offensive line better, I think that's a dangerous team. The problem is, I think Caleb Williams is limited because of his work ethic. I think he works out hard, but he doesn't work on learning very hard. It doesn't seem like it.
It's like the Kyler Murray situation.
Yeah, I thought about Kyler Murray actually,
Yeah.
except Kyler Murray is a coach's son. So I think when they started criticizing Kyler Murray, I think he actually buckled down. I don't think Caleb has people around him that are going to embarrass him like that and make him buckle down. I think they're going to keep telling him that this guy's the problem and that guy's the problem and you're not the problem, but this guy's the problem and that guy's and you don't have an offensive line. And, instead of going, you're making that bad throws.
I will say that the Rattler to Olave connection was back. Olave hadn't had a good game yet this year, and he really did in this one. So it's nice to see that connection there. Again, they're just devoid of talent right now, the Saints, but they still have some good players. So
98 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's Chris Olave back. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they're talking about Alvin Kamara might be going at the trade deadline. They're in that kind of rebuilding mode where they're probably looking at the number 1 pick potentially.
Yeah, I mean, look at the rushing yards. 44 for New Orleans for the whole team.
Right.
Some of that's Rattler, you know what I mean? So
True.
44 yards against 222 for Chicago.
Absolutely. So this next game was very painful for you and for any Dolphins fans and me, because I root for the Dolphins, because it was just an absolute blitzing by a bad team. Like it's inexplicable how the Dolphins could be this bad.
It's brutal.
Judkins just went crazy, and he's a rookie. Gabriel was just okay. I mean, he only had 116 yards passing, but it essentially was defense and running the ball, very similar to the Bears model. Tua was so bad that he ended up getting pulled for Quinn Ewers towards the end of the game. And there's been a lot of tumult in Miami this week already. So thoughts about this game, and are these teams diverging, or is it just the Dolphins are this bad?
I think in order to get a handle on how bad this was, the stats are very important here. Tua was 12 for 23 for 100 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a QBR of 3.3. I've never seen one that low before that I can remember.
You remember we talked about there's a certain level of QBR that if you just spike the ball into the ground, you'd be better than.
Yeah, I think it was like it was 8. You get 8 points or something like that if you just spike the ball in every play.
Right.
So you're doing more damage by trying to throw the ball than you are just throwing it into the ground.
That's right.
2 sacks and 9 tackles for loss for the Dolphins D.
But I think the biggest thing is, if you watch all of these highlights, which I did, you see the ease of which Judkins was able to operate.
Yeah.
I know he's a really good back, but
he's a good back, but he's a rookie.
It's the NFL, and to see the Dolphins are that soft, it's really kind of sad.
84 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns, just inexcusable.
And then after the game, you had McDaniel and Tua and other players complaining that it was too cold. And it was 60 degrees at kickoff. That's not cold.
It's so crazy. They played in like negative 20 degrees against the Chiefs a couple of years ago.
60 degrees is perfect. So
a couple more stats I want to point out. 3rd downs, 1 for 13 Miami, 1 for 13, and 4 for 11 Cleveland. You want to try and get to right around at least half. That's a good marker. Red zone, 0 for 2 Miami and 2 for 3 Cleveland. And Cleveland scored off 21 points off turnovers. So Cleveland's D had 4 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, 3 picks, and a fumble recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean.
And again, I'm not downplaying Gabriel, but he just wasn't asked to do very much. So I'm
it was a total team domination of a team that's imploding. For a team that was a little bit hungry and a little angry. The Browns were playing at home. They're 2-5. They were 1-5, and they were upset. They feel like they have some reason to be optimistic with their quarterback situation with young guys that they can believe in. They got really good running game. They always have a good pass rush. So, they have a solid defense. So the offense doesn't have to do anything stupid by trying to do too much. And then you just sit back and you let the defense keep handing you short fields with takeaways. And, it becomes out of hand really quickly.
No question. So you think the Dolphins not only are a complete rebuild, but it's going to be a total clean house?
I think they need to get rid of everybody who's making decisions in the whole organization. And they're not going to get rid of the owner. So I guess it just stops with him. And they need to get somebody in there who's going to be an adult,
What do you think about like a John Gruden coming in and putting some discipline in?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. You can't get any worse.
No, yeah. Where they're like laughing at their coaches and
Yeah, I mean, this is
Falcons.
just to this team that's why it was so abysmal because the Browns are pretty bad. They're
Yeah.
not good.
No.
So the Patriots take care of business against the Titans. The Cam Ward experiment is still kind of a work in progress. I'm not
Oh,
totally
it's
sure.
gonna be fine. It's just too early for it. He should
Not
be
sure what
riding.
I'm seeing with him sometimes on some of his throws, but he's still a very talented guy. But he's playing one of the better teams in the AFC. The Patriots now have a firm control of first place in the AFC East. They can run the ball. Stevenson had a huge day. I know Drake May made some incredible throws, including one towards the end of the game to Butte, which was just one of the best throws of the year. It was incredible in a tight window. Thoughts about the Patriots as they continue to roll, and are the Titans going to be competing with the Dolphins for the first pick?
Probably. I mean, the Titans, here's the thing. I got 2 words for you. Daniel Jones. If you have a talented young quarterback, but you don't have him in the right system, they're going to struggle and look like a disaster. And I think the Titans need to regroup and get their coaching systems in place, and then things are going to look better. And then a couple of drafts, get some linemen, get some important players.
He needs a tight end. He needs a weapon. He needs a
there's not
running
enough
game.
weapons around him, so he's struggling, and his offensive line is porous, and so he's got all kinds of problems. You don't want to hand a rookie quarterback all these problems,
Right.
So it's going to take time. Don't give up on him, just like they shouldn't have given up on Daniel Jones. But he needed to leave New York to get into the situation he needed, which was mentoring, coaching people.
Well, he goes to one of the best play callers in the NFL, and Shane Steichen. So.
And an extremely good roster.
That's right. That great
That's
offensive
not a
line.
small part of this. It's a huge part of this.
His offensive line's like a brick wall. I mean, he's got like 5 seconds every play.
Yep.
So
let's talk about it a little bit. Drake May out of his mind, 21 of 23, QBR 96.3. He also had 8 rushes for 62 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So he accounted for a ton of yardage. And their defense, the Patriots defense, had 5 sacks. There's my stat. 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and a pick. And, they had a fumble return for a touchdown. And red zone, 2 for 3 New England and 0 for 0 Tennessee. So they got in the red zone 0 times. And that's not good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So, you think the Patriots are going to win the AFC East? You think they'll be able to hold on to it? They've beaten the Bills once, but
I think the Bills are going to, but it's not going to be a pretty situation.
they've beaten the Bills once. Obviously the Bills could certainly get them back and repay that victory. I think they've got a really good shot of winning the division. I really do. I didn't think so until the last couple
I'd
weeks.
say a good shot, but I don't think it's going to happen. That's what I would say. I don't think so.
I know why the Patriots fans are excited. They really feel like they've got their next Tom Brady kind of talent, and probably has a better arm than Brady did. I'm not sure he's a better decision maker, but really exciting in Patriot land right now. So this game was crazy, 31-0.
Yeah.
It's 21-0 at half, and the Raiders had 2 first downs. And you're scratching your head. They have a lot of good teams on that roster. They've got a Hall of Fame coach who's got 2 Super Bowl rings, and they've got Ashton Genty, and they got Brock Bowers, and they got all these guys. They got Geno Smith, who had a great year last year, and they just look completely dysfunctional.
I mean, Tua was worse, but Geno was probably the next worst quarterback in the NFL.
Now they're playing the number 2 rated defense in the NFL in the Chiefs.
He was 10 for 16 with 67 yards, and he had a QBR of 7.7. I mean, you can't win with that.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Plus, he's playing, again, the number 2 rated defense. a really good coaching staff. He's playing against Spags. They were down
and
with a
Mahomes
lot of
played great.
pressure.
I mean, tip your hat. Mahomes played great.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
really did.
And
Pacheco
you
was
could see
running
he was
really
having
well.
fun out there. I mean, did you see the play, Tom, where he went up? It was fourth and 1 or whatever, and
Yes.
he
Yeah.
tried to draw him off sides,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, "This never effing works." And then he turns around, snaps the ball, and hands the ball to his running back, and they catch him sort of asleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He
It
loves
was a
that kind of stuff.
play. Yeah. When he's doing that, you can tell he's feeling it.
The other thing in this game was the first time we'd seen in a long time Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice on the same field together, along
Rashee
with Travis
Rice was
Kelce.
good.
So you got Travis Kelce going down the middle. You got Rice on one side and Xavier Worthy on the other. You got Pacheco in the backfield. It's pretty tough to stop. It really
Yeah.
is. And
I'll
then
tell you,
you're
Rashee Rice, he only had 42 yards receiving, but he had impact plays, and he had 2 touchdowns. He
that's
looks
right.
like he is going to be a nightmare.
And he came in fresh. He missed the first 6 games
Yeah.
on a suspension. So now he's really fresh.
Yeah.
So yeah, they looked super good. And I don't know where the Raiders go from here. I was thinking maybe they'd be a little better this year. I don't know now. They really look poor.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see. We'll see if they can pick up a couple more games against a little easier competition. So, but congrats to the Chiefs. They're looking really good. This was a great game. The Eagles and Vikings. We had a lot of criticism about Jalen Hurts and about this offense all year. Really been looking kind of feckless and boring and predictable. And Hurts just kind of unleashed the playbook in this game. And he really was throwing deep to all of his receivers, especially his top 2 receivers in A.J. Brown and what is his name?
Devontae Smith.
And Devontae Smith. And, they still are unable to run the ball. So it's a huge concern for the Eagles. They've got the best back in football and they can't run the ball. So you have to wonder about that and why the line can't seem to run block this year. Or is it that?
Well, I will say that Barkley got a little banged up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was something.
He's just not running the same way this year. I mean, his yards per carry average is way down. He's not running with the same authority. It's almost like he's protecting himself.
He's
They're
taking
doing
eating.
load management on him. They're not running him as many times. I think one game he had 10 carries, another one he had 11 carries. That's not like him. So, but on the positive, the Eagles really did unleash this passing offense on the Vikings. It was pretty impressive.
But the Vikings threw too much. My stat holds again: 26 of 42 for Carson Wentz, 42 throws, 313 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 picks. QBR of 45.8. So he threw the ball 42 times. That's more than 40. That means you're probably going to lose. And they did. There's no balance, is what I'm trying to say. If you don't have a balanced offense, then you're in trouble. And I just don't think they don't run the ball enough. They throw nonstop. Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson are 2 of some of the best. And it can work. Like, look what happened with Cleveland, but you don't want to go there very often. It's not usually a formula for winning. Most of the time, you're going to lose.
And I think you can see that we've seen enough now of the Vikings and of the Seattle Seahawks that the Darnold shipping off to Seattle was a bad idea. I think the Vikings are not getting the quarterback play they got last year. It's just as simple as that. And they've got these great receivers that are 2 of the better, probably 5 in the league with Addison and Jefferson. And they just must be so frustrated. They were kind of like the Bengals guys before they got Joe Flacco. They just have nobody to throw to them. And it's frustrating.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I don't think the Vikings are going anywhere because their quarterback play is just not good enough. The Eagles, I still believe, have some real serious problems. Their defense isn't playing as well as it was last year. They can't run the ball. And Jalen Hurts is not going to have games like this most weeks. That's just my personal opinion. But he did play very well.
They had quite a lot of penalties, too, so they're not playing disciplined.
Right. I mean, you get a game where he doesn't throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Eagles are going to lose those games. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they were 0 for 1. The Eagles in the red zone. but Minnesota is 1 for 6.
The Eagles probably have the second best roster in the NFC after the Lions,
Yeah.
and yet they're not playing like it. So that's what I
Yeah.
see. Even in victory, there's some real problems. And the
Yeah.
Vikings, I think, are toast.
I'm not sure, though. I feel like they can clean it up potentially. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they can.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Absolutely. So some more games. We got Panthers beat the Jets in a pathetic offensive performance, 13-6. The
Yeah.
Panthers build up a 10-3 lead at halftime, and then Bryce Young gets hurt right after halftime and is out the rest of the game. And now they're saying he has a high ankle sprain. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. So in comes, they call him the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, to finish out the game. He played okay, but he can't do nearly as much as Young. Doesn't know the playbook as well.
Yeah. More limited.
The running game wasn't what it was the 2 weeks before. They tried to start Chuba Hubbard because the philosophy is you don't lose your job with an injury. He wasn't nearly as effective as Dowdle, so they brought Dowdle in the second half, and he did kind of salt the game away, which is great. Leggett had some really nice catches in this game.
Yeah,
He had
he looked
one
good.
really nice play in the end zone, which was beautiful. And the Jets' defense is really solid. They're really good. They're really stiff. They just can't score. So I know that there was a benching in this game of Justin Fields, and the coach this morning just announced that he's being benched permanently, and they're going with Tyrod Taylor. So that's an interesting development. Any thoughts on this game?
He's fighting for his job right now, Aaron Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Fields should be playing or not. Really not sure. But the turnovers, those were picks, and that was a big part of the loss.
Glenn also this is the first time I've ever seen a coach do this. He kind of called Fields out a little bit in the press conference after the game. He said that he's holding the ball too long. Usually you don't say that out in the press. And he's essentially saying a couple of the sacks every week are on him. And I know it's true, but I don't know if you say that. It was almost like he was sending Justin Fields a message through the press.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a bad situation. They're just in a
that's
business.
not. You don't want your coach doing that. No one's going to want to go play there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then today, of course, he had the second press conference where he tried to clean it up a little bit, and essentially said, "We love Justin. We just think that we need to go in a different direction, get a spark." So that's why we're going with Tyrod. So interesting situation. Very happy the Panthers. They've won 3 out of 4 after a really rough start, and I'm really pleased that they're playing better. Their defense is playing better. But if you liked offense, this was not your game. It was an ugly watch.
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game at all. But 0-7 Jets aren't pretty at all this year, at all. But they're 0-5 at home. That's
right.
Awful.
I know.
That is awful. 0-5 at home.
This game was the craziest game I've seen in the entire year. I thought the 40-40 tie between the Cowboys and Packers was the craziest, and it was until this one, where you had the Giants absolutely dominate the Broncos. We're not just talking beat, we're talking dominate. And they go into the fourth quarter with a 26-7 lead and have that lead until about 6.5 minutes left in the game. And then they let the Broncos go on a tear that I've never seen before. I've never seen a quarterback be responsible for 4 touchdowns in 6.5 minutes, but that's what happened. And they, even with that, I will give Jackson Dart credit. He led a game-winning drive after all that happened and went up again, and 32-30. And then there was enough time on the clock for Bo Nix to lead his team down the field again and get the long field goal for the win. And I just couldn't believe my eyes. I was absolutely jaw on the ground with this one. By the way, teams that were leading that much with 6.5 minutes left were 2 and 4,500.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Great stats about
4,500. That's how rare this was. What are your thoughts about this game?
So this game was one of the craziest you're going to see. One of the craziest of the year for sure. Dart played well. He had a 67.3 QBR. He had 3 touchdowns and a pick. Bo Nix threw the ball 50 times in the win, which is unbelievable. But so much strange stuff happened in this game that you got to chalk it up to every exception in the book. It was visited. Bo Nix scored 2 touchdowns on running for 48 yards, in addition to 2 touchdowns in the air, 279 yards, 82.1 QBR. So I heard John Gruden, talking about how there's a lot of blame to go around if you're the Giants. And he said, really, the blame starts at halftime when you're up significantly, and you're going into the third quarter, and then you score again, and you're up. Let's see, they were up 19-0.
19-0 going into the fourth quarter, and then they were up 26-7 in the fourth quarter.
What Gruden's saying is that's 3-score game. You're up. The other team's done nothing. You have only one enemy at that time, and his point was a good one. Your only enemy is the clock. It doesn't really matter what the other team's doing. Your enemy is the clock. You have to run that clock down, and you have to win by wearing down the time. He said, I would even say you have to wait to snap the ball until there's 3 seconds left on each clock in that whole fourth quarter. So
what is almost more incredible? What is more incredible? There's a lot of Giants fans saying that Daboll should be fired after this game. They really believe that, and they believe it because,
and I get it, but I don't agree.
When you're sitting on a lead of that much and you're passing the ball and throwing interceptions, what are you doing?
It's terrible.
It's inexplicable. Terrible. And what's even worse than that is you saw last night in the Seattle game, you saw Seattle do the same thing. They almost let the Texans come back. Yeah. They had this huge lead, and instead of running the ball, they're passing the ball. What are you doing?
It's inexplicable. When you pass the ball that much, you're doing quick hits and not using much clock. And if the whole point is to win by running the clock out because you're up by 3 scores, then you're completely failing miserably when you drop back and do quick throws that are going to be incomplete. And before you know it, you're punting and you've taken no time off the clock, and you're giving them a free possession, basically. So at the end of the day, there was a lot of blame to go around. Gruden pointed out that the coaches should have started bleeding the clock in the second half and all the way down. Every play should have gone in with less than 3 seconds left on the play clock before you snapped it. And there should have been lots of runs, and they should have just bruised their way down the field. And then if you punt, you're closing the window on the comeback to where it's almost impossible. So
you talk all the time about how
he also blamed the defensive lines full of first-round picks, and they weren't getting any pressure. So, there was a lot of blame to go around, but certainly the quarterback played decently, but the coaching was bad. It was really bad.
You talk all the time about when you pass, there's 3 options, and really only one is good and 2 are bad, and one is it could be an incompletion. It could be an interception, or it could be a completion. And then you and I this morning were talking about really there's a 4th category that's also bad.
There's 5 categories.
Which is you stop the clock in a situation you're way up in a game. So what's your 5th one?
Your 5th one is taking a sack. When you drop back, you can take a sack. That's a loss of 8 yards, 9 yards. You're almost guaranteeing that you're going to have to punt because.
So I agree with the next coach. I agree with the next coach of the Miami Dolphins, John Gruden, and his analysis is absolutely correct. This was complete clock mismanagement and coaching malpractice. And if Daboll gets fired sometime this year, maybe even at the end of the year, no one's going to be surprised. This was inexcusable. This should never happen in the NFL.
Agreed.
So, what a great game, though.
It was exciting.
This game was the battle of 2 great coaches and 2 great quarterbacks. This is our theme of the night. We didn't mention Herbert and Harbaugh, but they're another pairing that are really good. I will say the Chargers are missing both of their tackles. They're missing a lot of players right now. They're missing one of their really good running backs. Herbert is kind of carrying this team right now. It's really pretty amazing to watch. Even their defense is pretty banged up, and they've got a good defense. So
Yeah, Marion Hampton is on IR.
they did the best they could to stay in this game, but it was just not enough. The Colts are so good this year. It is crazy how many weapons they have.
Yeah.
You either have Taylor scoring, you've got all these guys, Pittman, Tyler Warren, the rookie. It's just, they just hit you with so many different angles. They have such a great offensive line. They've got a really solid defense. I was very impressed by the Colts in this game. I think they're one of the better teams in the AFC. So, any thoughts about this one?
Yeah, I do. So I was thinking about putting for my background Jonathan Taylor because I think he's the MVP of the league right now. He is so good and he's so dominating. He reminds me of Saquon last year. He's absolutely unbelievable. And so that provides this security blanket for Daniel Jones, who coming into a new system need a little time to get acclimated, learn everybody's name, get into the system, learn it, get under Steichen and really start to blossom. He's been handing the ball to an absolute weapon. And I think Jonathan Taylor's the best player in the NFL this year. And I think he is putting a stamp on their wins. He becomes the nightmare that you have to defend against.
I mean, with Saquon Barkley falling off, with Derrick Henry falling off, those were the two leaders last year. This year, it's Taylor and Bijan. It'd be Taylor and Bijan are the two leaders.
Bijan and what's his name for the Lions?
Yeah, you're right. Jahmyr Gibbs. He was fantastic.
I think those are three. Yep.
Boy, were he good last night. Whew.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs. So, yeah, this was an incredible performance. I had been kind of not quite doubting the Colts this year, but I've been waiting for them to do their fall off with Daniel Jones. It's just not happening. They're just too loaded.
No.
And Shane Steichen is one of the best play callers I think I've ever seen. He's so smart.
Yeah.
And he throws so many things at you. Even Harbaugh said that they're really tough out. So I think the Chargers are going to be fine. They're going to start getting guys back. They're still a really good team. They're going to make the playoffs, but boy, the Colts are a problem.
Yeah, I mean there were all kinds of problems.
So this game was incredibly painful for me. Obviously, Commanders are my second team, and the much-hated Cowboys. This is a huge rivalry. We knew coming in the Cowboys were at that time the second-ranked offense in productivity. Now, after this game, they're the number one ranked offense. Dak Prescott's having a career year. He's got CeeDee Lamb back. This is his first game back in a while. Had a really nice game. Of course, he has some other really nice weapons as well. Actually getting some running game out of Javonte Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Jaden Daniels got hurt in this game, so they had to go to Marcus Mariota on his second pass in the game, throws a pick six. And it just was abysmal from beginning to end. And I'm really concerned about the Commanders because they've got a lot of really hard games coming up. So
I'm concerned too because without Jaden Daniels, you don't have a chance to do any real damage. And
they're just so
in there, I think they're missing a couple pieces.
Mm-hmm. They've got Scary Terry. They're paying him $35 million a year, and they've got no production out of him this year.
Yep.
And they've got other guys banged up. They've got running backs banged up now, and offensive linemen.
Yeah, if they're not careful, having Terry out, by the time he comes back, there's no point.
It's very possible that by the time he comes back, they're going to be 3-7 or 3-8, and now you're out of it. So, thoughts about these two teams, where they're going? Do you think the Cowboys are back? Their defense is not good, but it was solid in this game.
I think overall their defense is very weak. They don't have a lot of stars on their defense, and they're undersized, and they don't have a lot of pressure. They played well in this game, but I don't believe in him yet. I mean,
Mhm. What do you think
I
about
think
the year that Pickens is having? I mean, the guy is
he's
just
good.
rejuvenated with Dak Prescott,
Yeah, he's good.
almost unstoppable.
Yeah, Pickens really has impressed me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Cowboys are going to end up making the playoffs. They've got enough on offense to make up for their bad defense. I don't think they're really going anywhere. And I think the
Yeah.
Commanders are just in huge trouble. I think they're going to be about 3-7, 3-8 before they can get their quarterback back.
Yeah, because
Well,
the Eagles are a very good team that have been not playing great, but they're a very good team.
mhm,
You got the Giants are playing way better, much tougher,
mhm,
and now the Cowboys are playing some of the best football they played in a couple of years. So
mhm.
that's your division.
That's right. That's exactly right. And you're so banged up you can barely compete. You know, it's funny. We were talking to our dad, who's a huge Commanders fan, early in the year, and this is what he was worried about because he said, "You look at that magical year last year with Jaden's rookie year, where they went 12-5. They won about 10 games with one-score games. In a lot of cases, the last play of the game." And they also were incredibly lucky from an injury standpoint. They were almost completely injury-free the whole year. And it
Yeah,
was just
that
kind of
was
one of those
huge.
lucky years. And he said he was really worried this year that they would finally have an injury year and they'd have this fall off. And unfortunately, he was clairvoyant because that's what's happening. They are having a hard time competing without their full roster. So unfortunate. So Packers take down the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett again, 2 weeks in a row, played really well for the Cardinals. I think he's a really good backup. He can win a couple games for you. McBride is just a total beast. I've got him on my
Mhm.
fantasy team. I'm so happy I do because he is so fantastic. But the Packers are just a little better. They found a way to get it done here. They got a running game going. Jordan Love looked really good in the fourth quarter. And they were able to pair him and a really good play caller in LaFleur to come away with a victory. So, thoughts about the Packers and the Cardinals?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Packers can run the ball really well. Uh, the quarterback play has been pretty solid this year, and their defense is strong. You know, I mean, let's look at what they did. They had the Packers D had 6 sacks. There's my golden number, and 9 tackles for loss. You know, it's phenomenal. Um,
You know what I noticed is the Packers have had a theme this year where they start all their games really slow. They did it last year too, and then they come on at the end and they win a lot of their games at the end. But I don't know if that's sustainable. In the NFL, you need to get leads on a lot of these teams. You can beat the Cardinals in that situation, but you can't allow the Lions or the Eagles or one of these teams to get up 14-0 on you. That's not going to work.
I agree.
Just something I observed. The Packers have got to figure out a way to get better starts. And the Cardinals are playing well enough to win games, and yet they always find a way to lose them. And they're just one of those organizations.
Yeah, it's like they don't believe.
Yeah. I mean, they play well enough. They have enough yards. They have enough production to do it. Bam Knight had a really nice game, I thought. It's good to see him play well. But Packers keep rolling on. You take the W and you go forward. And it was on the road. So next game, we got 49ers Falcons. This was a much anticipated game because, both of these teams really need the win. 49ers have been playing really well with Mac Jones, and then they finally had a stub their toe moment last week. Michael Penix had been playing well, but mainly his running back. And the Falcons have been kind of surprising this year. And it really felt like a coaching mismatch in this one from the very beginning. Not only was McCaffrey probably the most dominant he's been in about 2 years, but it just felt like when you looked at Shanahan and you look what the Falcons were bringing to the table from a coaching standpoint, it just felt like a mismatch. And that's with
Yeah, they were
third
pretty much
stringers.
outgunned.
That's with 49ers with third stringers. So
Yeah, they were outgunned. Penix 21 of 38, so that he threw 38 times. That's too many for a rookie. He almost threw his way into total disaster. 241 yards. Sorry, not a rookie, second year, but first year starter. 1 touchdown and 29.7 QBR. Not good enough. Bijan only had 40 yards rushing. Not good enough. And
you know what? I got to give credit to the 49ers defense. They're without Nick Bosa. They're without a lot of pieces. They don't have Fred Warner. And yet they found a way to bottle up who may be the best running back in football. It was impressive. It really was.
It was.
So they've decided when they have Mac Jones that they're going to pass less and they're going to run McCaffrey more and they're going to play a lot of defense and they're going to win a lot of games that way,
Like old school play calling.
Yeah, and then Mac Jones will make just enough plays with the coaches scheming them open. Nice to see Kittle back in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't figure the Falcons out. They're so
McCaffrey.
They lose 1 week 30-0 to the Panthers. Then the next week they beat a really good team by 3 touchdowns. Then they lose to the 49ers. I don't know.
I think they're a very emotional team because they're young and they really swing with the pendulum of the emotional highs and lows of the season. And
because we know the Falcons defense is better this year. I mean, they've definitely addressed it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's going to take time for the picks to play out into better players.
I'm not sure the Falcons are a playoff team. I think they're just good. They're just kind of 9-8, 8-9.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the kind of team I think they are this year.
They're better. They're closer to the playoffs, but they're not quite there.
Yeah, I think so. Penix has some more development to do. So Lions take on a really good Buccaneers team, 24-9. They come out on top. I never really felt like this game was really in doubt. It felt like the Lions really had control of it. Jahmyr Gibbs, that's probably the best game I've ever seen him play. He was just unbelievable, both in passing and running. St. Brown had a nice game. Goff, very efficient, but it really was the Jahmyr Gibbs show.
Yep.
And it was also the Hutchison show. I mean, he was in the backfield on almost every play. It was incredible. He was pushing guys back into the quarterback.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about this one?
Well, let's look at the magic stats that I like to bring up. Baker Mayfield, 28 of 50, 228 yards, touchdown, pick, 23.7 QBR. Not his best game at all. He was asked to do too much. And Rachaad White only carried the ball 10 times. That's not enough. It's not even close. So that's a problem. Mm-hmm. Bad game plan for Tampa. Unbelievable game plan for Detroit. I think they dominated basically in so many ways. But Jahmyr Gibbs with 136 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. Goff had an awesome day. Not awesome day, but he did decent.
What surprised me is the Buccaneers were winning without their top 3 receivers. They had all 3 receivers back in this game, including Igbuka, and they just weren't efficient passing-wise. I don't know what happened. They had all their weapons.
I know what happened. Mike Evans broke his collarbone, so
yeah, he did.
He's out, and that deflated the team. They deflated after that. And Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs went off the reservation receiving.
And also Bucky Irving, I don't think people realize how important he is to this Buccaneers team. He's out right now. And so they're leaning on other guys like White and other runners. So they're a little banged up. Did you understand what the controversy was after the game? You had Baker complaining about the reffing and saying it was the most atrocious reffing game he's ever seen, and they were cheated, and there's no way they should have lost this game. I mean, I watched every play in this game. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, the Lions were down.
I know that he felt like he took some shots that should have been flagged. I think he thought some of the spots weren't good. I think Baker's a real competitor, and occasionally his emotions get away from him, and this was an example of that.
He sounded like the guys who are always complaining about the Kansas City Chiefs reffing, that they're always being favored. It just wasn't a good look. I mean, just take your lumps. Take your medicine. You were in Detroit. You're probably going to see him again in the playoffs. I don't know. I didn't like that look. I really like Baker. I mean, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I
But
like him too. I think he just kind of this hit him hard. He really thought they had a chance, and as it unfolded, they did not have a chance. And
the
I
most
think
atrocious reffing you've ever seen, I just didn't see that. I mean, I
I
watched every
didn't either.
play. I mean, there might have been a couple, but
I
you
didn't
really
see
think
it.
the NFL is favoring the Lions? I don't believe that. Do
No,
you? No.
no.
So I don't know. Anyway, good game. Two solid teams. Lions deserved it. They really played better. And Gibbs is an outright star. My goodness.
Yeah. You put those two teams together again in the playoffs, some might be a totally different result.
You never know, especially if it's in Tampa. We'll see what
Mhm.
happens. So our fantasy football wrap up for the week, Bo Nix, among the quarterbacks, had that huge fourth quarter. He had about 7 points in fantasy going into the fourth quarter and comes out with 42. You got Herbert, Jackson Dart, Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, Patrick Mahomes, Jacoby Brissett, Matthew Stafford, and Dak Prescott. I was surprised to see Prescott all the way down at number 9. I thought he had a much bigger game than that stats wise. But thoughts about these quarterback leaders?
I think there's been really good quarterback play this year. A lot of good guys putting together, good seasons. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
support for the top guys. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of good running backs behind them. Lines are blocking well,
Mm-hmm.
and they have all-star cast at wide receiver. So
Looks like you got 27 points out of Matthew Stafford. Nice job there.
yeah, yeah. I'm in a little trouble this week. Going into this week, I've got
You're
Goff
playing
and
me.
Stafford both on IR, so I'm scrambling to get a backup quarterback. Because I mean, not on IR. Excuse me. They
Bye.
have buys. They
Yeah.
both have buys,
Right.
so I'm scrambling to get a third quarterback so I can
That's right.
uh, just try and make it through this week. So
You're playing me, so that'll be
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
We'll tell you guys next week what happens.
yeah. I'm not
So,
making excuses, but it's tough with
so
no QB. So
the wide receivers, you got
hopefully I can
Jamar
get it done.
Chase had a huge game, maybe the best receiver game of the whole year with the
Yeah,
16 catches.
you look
He had,
good.
he had 40 points, Robbie, in
I
fantasy
know.
for
I
Ashton.
know.
You got Devontae Smith had a huge game for the Eagles. Keenan
Yeah.
Allen, A.J. Brown, Chris
Yep.
Olave, Devontae Adams had that big game for the Rams over in London. Smith and Jigba. I mean, what a player this guy is, man. He's been
Yeah, he's good.
creeping up the charts. Comes from Ohio State, too. Xavier Legette had his best game as a pro with 9 catches. Had a really nice day. And then Travis Hunter, his first time on the chart. So really good to see that. He had 24 points.
Yeah.
Starting to become really productive. I am wondering why he's not getting any snaps on defense. I wonder why that is.
They said that it's harder to learn than running routes.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that is.
Yeah.
It was the first time I really seen him pop a little bit in a game this year. I mean, he really was not only getting open, but getting pretty severely open on a couple of those plays. So he's
Mhm.
starting to really come into his own. Running backs, McCaffrey had a huge day, 41 points. Beat out Jahmyr Gibbs, who also had a huge day last night. Jonathan Taylor,
Yeah.
of course. Judkins. Boy, is he a good rookie.
Mhm.
DeAndre Swift, Jalen Warren, Bijan Robinson, and Javonte Williams for Dallas. So,
Yeah.
surprises there?
Dallas.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams, and I have him on my fantasy team, so
But you didn't start him?
no.
Okay. Well, I
Um,
think this Javonte Williams performance says maybe a little bit more about Washington. That's really banged up right now. Not playing
yeah,
very
I mean,
well.
I think he's a good back. I think
He's not bad.
they,
He's not
you
bad.
know, but
So you got for the tight ends, you got Gadsden had a huge game for the Chargers. He was the top target for Herbert. Trey McBride, of course. Fryermuth, Jake Ferguson for Dallas. He had 2 touchdowns. Had a really good day. Dalton Schultz. Bellinger is really coming on for the Giants. I've really been kind of watching him the last 3 weeks. Tyler Warren, the rookie. Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, I've got him. He's gotten me so many points the last few weeks.
You were smart to pick him up. So
he
Tyler
was my
Kraft.
backup tight end to T.J. Hawkinson, but now he's my starter.
Tucker Kraft has become one of the best tight ends in football for Green Bay. And then first time I've seen Theo Johnson on the list for the Giants. And what's interesting is you see here the Giants have 2 tight ends in the top 9 in fantasy. That means that Jackson Dart's throwing a lot to his tight ends. Kickers, you got Richard, you got McPherson. You mentioned him for Cincinnati. Boy, is he a good kicker. Aubrey, I think he's the best kicker in football. I've got him on my team.
Yeah. Used to be a soccer player.
Jake Moody, Ryland, Pinheiro used to be with the Panthers, the 49ers now. Havrasik, Joey Sly, and then Jason Miatz. So a little surprised to see Jake Moody here. He's already gotten cut once this year, but it seems like he's kicking pretty well for Chicago.
He's refocused, yeah.
But I think McPherson and Aubrey are probably the 2 best kickers right now in football. They're 1-2, yeah. Defenses, you got Cleveland had that huge day against the Dolphins. New England, Carolina had a really nice day, of course, against the Jets. Houston, Dallas, Chicago, Detroit, and Los Angeles Rams. So a lot of good defenses this year too. And then there's some teams that have no defense at all. So
it makes a huge difference.
You got Detroit, which was very smart for you to pick up.
Yep. I got Detroit and Minnesota.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so right now the playoff picture for the NFL after Week 7. This is, if it ended today, this is what it would be. It's pretty amazing. AFC, your number 1 seed would be the Colts.
Nobody would have predicted this.
I know. Number 2 seed is the Patriots.
Yeah, nobody would have predicted this.
Your number 3 seed would be the Broncos. Your 4 seed would be the Steelers with Rodgers. 5 seed the Bills, 6 seed the Chargers, and then the Jaguars would slip in as your number 7 seed. And
I did say they would sneak into the playoffs.
You notice the Chiefs aren't even in there right now. And you know they're going to be. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, you know they're going to be. They're going to unseed, the Jags or the Steelers.
Probably.
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to drop out of this group? Probably the Jags, right?
Jaguars and Steelers.
Yeah. On the NFC side, Green Bay would be the number 1 seed if you ended today. San Francisco 2 with their MASH unit, which is pretty amazing, the job that Shanahan's doing this year. You got to give him credit. The Eagles would be the 3 seed. Tampa would be 4. Detroit 5. Seattle 6. And the Rams 7. So I don't think anyone would predict this. I know. They're good, though. They're really solid.
Yeah.
Who do you think might drop out here?
Seattle.
Maybe. I think it may be this 7. I really do. I think this may be your 7. I think AFC is going to change a little bit. Any other observations before we move on here with this playoff picture mid-season?
No, I think that's pretty cool because that kind of encapsulates where we are. Lots of time for that to change.
Yes.
But if teams don't have injuries, they should be able to maintain the momentum that they've been playing with. And injuries are an immediate problem, an immediate dysfunction for your team functioning properly. And all of a sudden you are struggling and losing to teams you shouldn't. And so injuries is the big one. And so they really start happening now.
There's probably only one team on the NFC side that might slip in, and that's the Cowboys. They very might, get the 6 or 7 seed. We'll see.
I don't think so.
But I think this is pretty close to the top 7 teams. Looking at the playoffs on the Major League Baseball side, I did want to talk about this score sheet because you're not going to see it very often. This was the clinching game for the Dodgers for them to go to the World Series. They end up winning 5-1. A lot of people are calling it the greatest individual performance ever by one player.
I think it is.
With Ohtani pitching 6 scoreless innings with only 2 hits 10 strikeouts, and 3 bases on balls. So he was essentially dominant as a pitcher.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the hitting score sheet, of course, Ohtani hits 3 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible. These guys are trying to pitch around him, and he's hitting 3 home runs.
I know.
He hit 2 of them against left-handed pitchers, which is really
They were
hard to do.
monster shots too.
Yeah. So, what is your thought about this game individually, but also just are we watching one of the greatest or maybe the greatest ever? I mean, could he be better than Babe Ruth?
I think he is,
I
because
think
he's
it's
an
awesome.
he's a pitcher that's dominant.
And he's playing much better competition on both sides of the plate.
He had 10
If you're being
Ks,
honest.
10 Ks in 6 innings.
Yeah.
He had 0 earned runs, 2 hits, 6 innings pitched, and and then on the batting side, he had 3 home runs and in 3 at bats, and he had 3 RBIs. So he just was dominant on both sides of the ball.
This was a really good Milwaukee team, and this Dodgers team just destroyed them 4-0 in this series.
Yeah.
That surprised me. I thought it was going to be a good series. It doesn't surprise me the Dodgers won, but 4-0.
I didn't think it was going to be that good of a series.
Really?
And it wasn't. The Dodgers are on a mission. They can be stopped by like the next best team maybe, but
the Brewers had a better regular season record. They had really good pitching, and yet the Dodgers just tore them apart in this series. It was wild.
The Dodgers had the roster.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It comes to bear in the playoffs. So here's what your playoff bracket looks like. You're down to 2 teams, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays win in Game 7. The Seattle Mariners must just be sick to their stomachs. They were down to 8 outs. They had a 3-1 lead with 8 outs left.
Yeah, that was insane.
Their bullpen couldn't hold it. The Blue Jays end up winning 4-3 and go to a World Series, and now the Seattle Mariners have not been to one in 41 years.
Wow.
So thoughts about this series? What is your initial take? LA versus
the Blue Jays. I was watching the Blue Jays Seattle Game 7, and I had to step away from the game for a few minutes. And I came back and I sat down, and I saw this I think it was late 7th inning, this monster shot, 3-run home run. And it swung the game completely. It was wild. So,
yeah, they do have the Blue Jays Guerrero. They've got some really good hitters.
Yeah.
They provide a lot of offense. They were the hottest team in the league the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Out of all the teams, they might be the one team that could give the Dodgers a little bit of a challenge. I'm hoping they do. I'd like to see a good World Series. I feel the way you do that the winner is going to come out of the National League, and I believe the LA Dodgers will win this World Series.
Yeah.
I'm going to say in 6 games, I think the Blue Jays will pick off 2. What is your thought?
Yeah, something like that. I think the Blue Jays are definitely good enough to make this a competition with some drama and some what should we call it? Some unpredictability, some high-flying performances, rolling some small ball and back and forth kind of stuff. I think it could be one of those like good series, at least for a while. Until somebody's on the brink, and then you start getting nervous and you start messing up.
What's crazy is the Dodgers won the World Series last year, and Ohtani had an abysmal series. And he really had an abysmal playoffs.
Well, he was hurt. He was playing hurt.
If you get him playing like this, no one's going to beat him in a 4-game, or in a 7-game series. Nobody's going to take them down.
This is the healthiest he's been in a while.
Right.
So last year in the World Series, he was playing hurt.
Have you ever seen a stroke like this guy has, left-handed? It's crazy. No. The stroke is so beautiful.
One ball almost left the stadium.
Right.
It was at the highest level you can go without leaving the stadium.
That's exactly right.
I mean, that's
So
a
I don't
bomb.
know. I'm hopeful for a great series. I'm thinking it's going to go 6, and I think the Dodgers will win. But let's see. That's why we watch the games. I love the World Series.
Yeah, same.
It'll be a lot of fun. Our winners of the week, we got the Cowboys, the Kansas City Chiefs. They continue to roll on. The Panthers winning 3 out of 4. The Rams go to London and absolutely dismantle the Jaguars. Broncos with the greatest comeback ever, 33 points in the fourth quarter. The Patriots continue to roll and now take over the AFC East. And then the Lions reassert their dominance last night against Tampa. Any problems with any of those?
No, it's a good list.
On the baseball side, you got Toronto and LA, of course. The two of them are the winners because they go to the World Series.
Yeah.
Losers, you got Giants, Chargers. Giants because, of course, they gave up that huge lead. Chargers because they just look kind of feckless against a good team. Washington so banged up they can't even compete anymore. The Jaguars did not look like a playoff team in that game against the Rams. The Falcons, I don't know what they are. They're just up and down every week. And the Bills, although they did not play, I'm calling them loser of the week because they're now looking a game and a half behind the Patriots. They're looking up in the division for the first time in 9 years. They're looking up at somebody. Any thoughts about these losers of the week?
I think the Bills, I wouldn't put in the losers of the week category, but I've been very critical of them over time, and I think that it's coming to fruition, the problems with their contracts and the way their roster is constructed. Atlanta still needs pieces. You've seen flashes from some of their stars, and you can see what they might be one day, but they're not close to there yet. Jaguars overall look really weak when they would look weak, and then they look great when they're on. So they're very much up and down.
Well, they look weak
Washington
against good teams. They look good against bad teams. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Washington's banged up. Everybody's taken some hits in terms of their starting lineups and stuff like that, but some teams are taking it a little harder than others, and they're one of them. And the Giants are on the right path. They just need to learn how to win.
Yeah, they're a loser of the week, but I would say generally they're trending up. The Giants are definitely improved.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have their fans who are crazy rabid fans in a peaceful place where they're excited every time these two young guys do something fun, and they're making it fun to watch. And so
They are an entertaining watch. There's no question
they're
about it.
entertaining. Yeah.
Why in the world they didn't in that fourth quarter just give it to Scadaboo, I'll never understand. But anyway,
Me either.
the two losers of the week, of course, in baseball were Milwaukee Brewers, who got dismantled by the Dodgers, and the Seattle Mariners, who really had this series. They were up 2-0 and 3-2 and couldn't hold it. And I know they just must be sick going into this offseason.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh, though, had a fantastic, unbelievable year. And
What a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, looking at our subscriber challenge of the week. So which team will win the World Series? A very simple question. Robbie?
Dodgers.
Yep, me too.
Dodgers, I'm going to say in 5 or 6. I'm going to say in 6.
I'm going to say in 6 as well. I think 4-2 they win it.
Dodgers in 6.
And I think Ohtani has some really special moments in this series.
I think the Dodgers go out to like a 3-0 lead. Blue Jays come back and win 2 straight, and then Dodgers finish them.
Maybe. Guys, drop us a comment. Who do you think is going to win the World Series? So the next one is best team in the AFC. Is it Kansas City, Chargers, Broncos, Bills, Colts, or Patriots? Those are your top 6 right now. Who's your best team in the AFC after 7 games, Robbie?
I gotta say the Colts are the most complete team, I think.
I think the Colts have the best roster. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team because they have the quarterback and the coach, and that's the theme of tonight. I think the Colts are right on their heels, though. Shane Steichen is a fantastic coach, and he's turned Daniel Jones into a really competent and good starter. So,
Yeah.
I put the Colts at number 2. I think they're the number 2 best, and I think you may see those two teams in the AFC Championship game. It'd be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, one final question for the night, man, and we'll sign off. Who is the GOAT tight end of all time? You got 5 guys here. You got Gonzalez,
All time.
Kelsey, Gronkowski, Shannon Sharp, Antonio Gates, or other. It could be somebody else as well. Who's the greatest of all time, do you think?
I think it's Gronkowski.
You do?
Yeah.
I think it's Travis Kelce.
Super Bowls.
I think it's Travis Kelce, and I think Gronk is number 2. When Tony Gonzalez was playing, he was definitely the GOAT in my opinion, but I think he's been
Yeah.
passed by these 2 guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think both guys passed Tony
I
Gonzalez.
think Kelce has just barely passed Gronkowski, largely because he's just been so consistent year after year after year.
I think Gronk had him in total package: blocking, catching, touchdowns, beast mode, you name it. Kelsey's been exciting to watch. He's likely to say, I don't know what he's going to do out there. I'll flip the ball to somebody running behind me, or he's a little crazy, but
He is. No doubt about it.
Kelsey's really fun to watch. But I think Gronk was also fun to watch, and all the crazy stories of his
All right, so
lore.
you got Gronk, I got Kelsey. Guys, drop us a comment who you think is the greatest tight end of all time. Let us know.
Yeah. It's definitely debatable.
All right, Robbie. Well, things you're looking forward to this week, man.
All kinds of more sports. The World Series starting up, and Virginia, North Carolina in college, NFL. Just there's so many teams that are trying to jockey and position themselves, and then in addition to that, there's so much movement in fantasy football. If your league out there is like ours is, there's something like 6 teams that all have the same record. We're all 4-3. So these are breakout games where we start to separate.
That's true.
And I'm sure that a lot of leagues are like that, especially if you have a bunch of people who are taking it seriously. So that's a lot of fun.
What's crazy is your girlfriend just beat me by 35 points in fantasy. So,
I know. That is crazy.
That was not pleasant.
Although, to be fair, Connor, my son, who's really, really into fantasy football, picked her lineup. So
And what's crazy is she didn't have 2 players going, and she still beat me by 35 points.
Yeah, she did well this week.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a bunch of games this weekend. The Panther game, you've got Andy Dalton going against Josh Allen. I don't know if that's going to be very pleasant. Not really looking forward to that one, but I'll still be watching. Yeah. The Virginia Carolina game, I'm going to be at your house, so we got to find a place to watch it.
We'll watch it.
Starts at noon, so we got to find a way to watch that game. And I will be wearing my Virginia gear. I'm sure I'll get razzed by some Carolina fans, but it's just part of the deal.
I think Vikings Chargers is going to be exciting. They're both kind of reeling a little bit, desperate, I would say. Giants Eagles is going to be great. I mean, the Eagles want a rematch. Giants want a piece of the Eagles. It's going to be in Philly. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be fun to watch that one.
Agreed.
And I think those are the main ones. Cowboys Broncos should probably be pretty good.
I agree.
I don't think Titans Colts is going to be very much.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining this week. NFL recap. We really enjoy all of your comments. Please drop us some more. We love to read them on the air. And thank you for liking our videos, for subscribing to our channel. We've picked up over 100 subscribers this week. It's been really cool. And
Nice.
guys, we can't thank you enough for coming on the journey with us. It's been great growing the channel, and we love bringing you the content. And let's have a great football week.
Yeah, we love the support. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We're very grateful to all the support we get from our families and all our friends out there who are listening. We definitely love to hear from you. We love the support that you guys are watching, subscribing. Keep that up for us. We would really love that. We'll keep bringing you great content, and we're really excited about where this is going. So hang with us.
And World Series starts Friday night. Enjoy the World Series. It's a great time every year. So really enjoy the great action there. Guys, have a great one. We'll see you next time on the Sports Guys.
See you soon.
See you.